Hey everyone, my name is April. Welcome back to Atypical Understanding, where we dive into the things that make us and others tick. We share our journeys and what we're learning about how to improve our lives, become the change we want to see, and have the impact that we crave. Today's video is about disgust and how we get started using our disgust to improve our life. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Alright guys, so this is part 2. I am going to skip a lengthy intro like I did in the last video, and please watch that first video because I'm picking up straight where we left off, and that is the word disappointed. Disappointed. We're feeling defeated in our expectations or hope. My first thought jumps to sadness. Boom, immediately. Disappointed, I'm sad. But I certainly can relate this to disgust as well. When we hold others or situations to expectations, we can have to be disappointed by their inability or unwillingness to play by our rules, and therefore we become disgusted by them, or ourselves even, if we aren't able to get what we think we need. So I feel like that it's really common to be disgusted by yourself for failing on your latest diet, or just screwing up again, or letting someone down again. When we are feeling disgusted by way of disappointment, it would be wise to start asking, what were the expectations to begin with? If you are disappointed by someone, were your expectations reasonable for that person? Were they clearly defined? Were you trying to force your agenda onto someone? Were your expectations clearly articulated? If you are disgusted by yourself, ask us those same questions. Or are you just being really hard on yourself? Maybe do you need some professional advice to help you meet your goals? Do you not really know how to achieve some of these things? Do you need a new approach? Are you trying to be someone that just isn't you? I feel like parents often accidentally put their children into a perpetual cycle of disgust when they dictate the career or life path of their children, and the adult child just does not have the interest or the drive in that particular career path. And so they always are just falling short and letting people down, letting their parents down. They don't know what is wrong with themselves, what is causing their lack of motivation. So they feel very disgusted by themselves. They feel like what's wrong with me? Disappointment should be clearly articulated so that you can dissect it if necessary and make the adjustments that need to be made, or at least make the acceptance that needs to happen there. Like, you can be disappointed by someone and you can say, well, my expectations, I was being a little ridiculous, and then you can just kind of accept that and move on. It's sometimes it just takes acceptance. There's nothing to fix. It's just understanding. So awful is the next word. Extremely disagreeable or objectionable. So the next time you say, oh, I'm feeling so awful, I want you to stop. Stop right there, because that's something we say all the time and we never break it down. Define it precisely. What about you right now is not good? Many of us say, oh, I'm feeling so awful, without ever precisely defining the sense of malaise or just uneasiness that really inhibits us. That really inhibits us from being able to understand the cause of it. So is it mental even or physical? Why are you feeling bad? You're really shortchanging yourself by not making yourself identify exactly what is wrong. The words that are associated with awful on the emotions wheel that I'm using is sick, nauseated, detestable. Nausea is stomach distressed with distaste for food and the urge to vomit. Also, extreme disgust, which, is the whole theme of this video. Sick, affected with disease or ill health. Detestable, arousing or meriting intense dislike. So all of these words in this section are really relating to intense revulsion of some sort. I think that we can relate to feeling this in either a mental or a physical memory, just, no, stay away. The important part, once again, would be to keep going, to keep asking, what's next, what's next, what's next? how can I understand this revulsion? Obviously, if you're ill with a stomach bug, okay. You don't have to understand that too much. But if you're feeling this type of intense revulsion towards a person or a situation, you need to know why. You really need to know why, and you need to know probably like right now. I had a job that I felt this kind of revulsion towards, and it was important. I ended up getting very kind of ill from this job, actual physically symptomatic ill. I needed to quit this job because this repeated revulsion every single day started making me ill. So repeatedly subjecting yourself to these types of disgusting situations can really lead to damaging effects on the body. So I would recommend, if you're stuck in a situation that you find revolting, that you seek some assistance, or you start planning on how to fix it or how to get out ASAP. This is important because you don't want to keep doing this to your body. It's not good for it. And I'm serious about that. Repel, to turn away or to reject. To refuse to receive, hear, or admit. And then horrified, so I'm going to group a few words together right now. Horrified, to feel, I'm talking, to fill with distaste, shock, a sudden violent mental or emotional disturbance, and then hesitant, slow to react or proceed. I feel like this last word group in the disgust section, and what I feel from this is really being in a state of shock, which is a sudden violent or emotional disturbance. So if we think about scenarios that would put us into a state of shock, please don't if you have trauma triggers, but many of them would include intense feelings of disgust. When I first started working through disgust, I'd never dreamed that we would end up in a state of shock. That wasn't where my connectors were heading with this. And now looking back, after being through all the words, that makes perfect sense, because these are all emotions that come with shock situations. But these are all words that we've spent time in going over in this video and in the last video, and that's embarrassed, appalled, revolted, nauseated, horrified. I mean, this is really important, I think, as far as a revelation goes, because this can really help us find a link between our disgust and any unhealed traumas that we may have. Many of us are carrying around a lot of trauma that we just not even really aware of. Especially CPTSD, I think, is something important. If you have a lot of emotional dysregulation, I highly encourage you to look into CPTSD, because that might explain some of your issues for you or help you with some of those issues. But many of us have been in the state of shock, more times than we care to remember, or a mild kind of version of it. A state of disbelief, a state of, I'm not doing this right now, push it down. But at the same time, we can still, if we get close to any of the similar situations, we still feel our stomachs tighten and drop at the remembrance of any of these kind of similar-ish or triggering situations. So if you're feeling intense disgust over relatively mundane, everyday situations, you should probably take some time to understand it. You may find that it leads you back to some unhealed trauma that maybe it's time for you to work through. Maybe you're ready to work on it. Maybe that's what's happening. Or it might be a clue that you're being manipulated by something or someone, and maybe it's time to cut that thing off. I'm so embarrassed I want to die. I mean, how many times do we think of that disproportionate statement? That is so out of I'm so embarrassed I want to die. No. But sadly, you've probably said it, and you probably meant it, at least once or twice in your life. So these are types of sort of disproportionate emotional states that we should bring back into balance, and that we need to identify and process and help find ourselves responding to the things with much more confidence and curiosity and much less disgust. Alright guys, that is the video for today. That's going to wrap up disgust. I don't think I've decided what comes next. It might be sad. I'm trying to remember the emotions will. But yeah, so keep a lookout for that. And thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking out the channel. Please let me know if you have any comments or stories, or especially if you have any more contradictory feelings about these emotions. I am definitely very interested in expanding my understanding of these things, And I will see you guys again soon. Bye.